So it's easy to forget. It's easy in our habitual daily trance to lose touch with what really matters and get very immediate and goal-oriented and fixated. And then we find that we have to slow down and quiet to get back in touch. I remember my first Buddhist retreat was about 27 years ago. I kind of have to remember it from when my son was born, how old he was. And I remember that after a couple of days, I really started settling and getting, quite quiet. And then at one point, there was a real sense of, in that stillness, this quality of tenderness and open-heartedness and loving love. That's kind of the words I had in the moment. I love love. And then I burst out weeping, crying, And there was such sorrow about how many moments of my life I live and I'm not remembering that. I'm living on some other level, and I'm missing out on that deep aspiration. And I've noticed that this has continued over the years, that sense of getting quiet and remembering what I've forgotten. Because I practice with aspiration a lot, there's less forgetting, but it happens every day. And when there's a remembering, there's always, if not sadness, there's a gratitude, like, I'm back again, that kind of feeling. A very good friend of mine, who many of you probably know, as he's a fairly well-known Dharma teacher, James Baraz. Just spent some time with him, so he's been on my mind. There's a story he tells that really captures this to me so well, about the power of that aspiration. And he describes in his early days of practice, he was alone, he didn't have a community. So he describes at one point, after the initial zest of it, getting dry, mechanical. And so it turns out that Ram Dass, who, again, many of you are familiar with as one of our generation, one of the great spiritual teachers, he was in town. So James went to visit Ram Dass and told him about his practice and how it was kind of missing something. So Ram Dass looked at him and, and he said, "Do you love Jesus?" And James said, "I like Jesus. I don't love Jesus, but I like Jesus, And so Ram Dass said, "Do you love Krishna, God Krishna?" And James said, "Well, I like Krishna, that kind of. Do you love God?" And James said, I grew up Jewish, and in a way, God was always, this guy with a real long beard and a staff, and so it wasn't quite where the relationship is. What I really felt a connection with, a love for, is the Dharma, and the Dharma is really the nature of nature. It's the essence of the path and of aliveness. And so Ram Dass said, so you love the Dharma. He said, "I want you to repeat after me. I love you, Dharma. You say it and then I'll say it. We'll do it together." And so James said, "I love you, Dharma." And Ram Dass said, "I love you, Dharma." And James said it a few more times. And then around the fourth time, that's when he started weeping. Because he realized this cherishing, that this was at the very heart of who he was. Nothing outside him. This love, he was loving love. He was loving nature, loving life. This is aspiration. It's that very pure energy that is so in love with the waking up, with the realizing what we are, that it fully energizes our practice. And when our practice, whether we are following the breath or using a loving kindness practice or concentrating or mindful attention to different things, whatever it is, when it's coming out of that love for waking up, it's going to be very vibrant and alive. So that's the beginning. That's the groundwork. If we have some connection with aspiration, then there are some fundamental attitudes or ways of holding our practice that will emerge, that will carry us home. And so this is what I want to talk about for the rest of the time, which is the 3 attitudes that I feel like are pretty right at the heart of the path. And I'll name them, and then we'll just take them one by one, and we'll do a little practice with them as we usually do. The first of the attitudes is to relate to whatever's happening with a quality of relaxation, to relax about it, to discover a kind of openness that can hold it, to not have to control it. So relaxed. The second one is interested, to draw on our natural interest about truth, about life. Relax, interested, and the third is friendly, to regard what's happening with a quality of kindness or tenderness. And if you cultivate those 3 attitudes, it really doesn't matter what practice you're doing. Those attitudes themselves will wake you up into who you are. So let's, maybe as a contexting way to put it, is that each of these attitudes is an expression of a basic characteristic of awareness itself. That the attitude of relaxed or open, awareness is wide open. It doesn't interfere or control. The attitude of interest, awareness has a wakefulness, it notices. And the attitude of friendliness, when awareness comes in contact with these human hearts and lives, there's a natural tenderness and care. So when we develop these attitudes, what we're really doing is aligning ourselves with our natural state, with the very pure awareness that's home.